Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank everyone who has come back. So where we ended up, we were talking about 45 Secrets. You have a wonderful, talented team of writers, artists, musicians. You've been able to create some amazing magic with many artists. I've done a little bit of research, but I'm sure there are people, and like you said, I don't want to leave anybody out, so you go ahead and add if I'm missing anybody. But the most recent, of course, with Last Laugh with Clizzy Houston and Highlighter. We have the Manifestations, Man of the Hour, of course, with Clizzy Houston. Willie J. Am I saying that right? Devon Sings.
Yeah, Devon Sings.
Okay, Lucci Fontaine.
Yeah.
So there's many more. So I mean, it's just like, what an incredible a credible space and a place to be with Brick Wall. And so there was something you said to me when we had our preliminary, and we talked about characters and trust. And you stated you don't do business deals, you do relationship deals. So talk about that. Let's talk about that.
A guy I met through Clizzy named Marty Arnold, he said that. And it's something that stuck with me because it made me realize that there's so many things that people want to connect with, want to build with, but we don't tend to do those things with strangers.
Right.
We're not going to walk up in the middle of the street and say, hey, let's go to the studio and make an album. Or, hey, let's do a clothing line together. It's something that you sat down, you felt the person out, decided whether you like their character or not. Sometimes that could go a little overboard. Some people absolutely have to like everybody that you work with, and that's not necessary. Business doesn't care about that. Like I said, my main statement is your feelings and money don't go in the same bag.
Right. Wow. This is true. And so many people, believe that this business is all about, the look or the talent, and basically what you're talking about is, how important and how keen relationships are, though, to this business.
It's everything. Yeah. At the end of the day, I meet talented people all the time. I sit down with them, and pretty much within 10 minutes of the conversation, I know they're wasting their time because they have no goal, no drive, and no understanding of what it really takes to be in this game.
Wow.
I got some talented people on my computer that are incredible, but they'll never be out because their business ethics sucks.
Wow. That's a big part of it, research, I think, and understanding the business, for one. I talk about it all the time too, as far as just the business, the paperwork, not just wanting just to come in and just record. I was working with a writer recently, and it's like all they wanted to do was just let's get started. But I said, well, we need to, we can copyright first, make sure your songs are copywritten, and then of course talk about, which PRO you're with. Because I don't just go in a booth and start recording like that,
Exactly. The biggest thing with me and Clizzy is we spent almost a year in conversation, meeting up in the studio, just talking, not recording anything, not listening to anything. Nobody's rapping. We're just sitting there talking about what we expect out of a situation, how we see certain things working. And those are the type of things that have to happen.
Yeah.
Me and Clizzy say this all the time. Not every time someone goes to the studio, it's for recording. Sometimes it's literally just to build.
Yes.
And build a relationship like we were talking about before.
Yes. A vibe, right? The energy, everything.
Exactly. That changes the whole song direction.
Well, you can definitely hear it in your music, in your sound.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. I was saying this last night, and I just was like, I hear a lot of music. I listen to a lot of music, I love music. But I just, this collaboration that you guys have, you could feel it. You could hear it. It's kind of like, how we always revert to saying we're cooking when we're making something,
Yeah.
And you talked about the sauce, and you could truly taste it. Like, you could taste this entire album.
Yeah.
I don't
And
know how else to put it other than feeling. I was even last night, I was sharing it, with my mother. I was like, do you hear that? Like, I can hear all these instruments and all this sounds, So I think it's incredible. And I'm sure everything that you put your hands to has that, because of what you're talking about, the vibe and the energy. So what makes an individual a perfect fit, for being a music producer?
the ability to be able to see something in a raw form and know what it can be.
Mm.
A lot of times somebody bring a song to you or a melody, and if you don't have that vision to see where it can go, it's just that simple melody. Oh yeah, that's cool. But to be able to picture it as a song with all the elements together and go, yeah, that will work. That's truthfully, everything else can be really, really learned.
Yeah.
But that skill right there is hard to understand.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it's even hard for artists to understand, because they'll play me something and it's like they're giving me all I call it excuses. Oh, it's not mixed. Oh, it's not finished. It's not that. I'm like, don't worry about that. I know what it can be. That's the magic trick.
Right. So you've definitely seen the shift, in this business. Like you said, you've come out, you've gone back in, you're called obviously to do what you're doing. We talked a little bit about that. Like, when you have a calling, it's going to keep calling you.
Yes.
So talk about a little bit of the shift, because we're in the middle of a shift right now. People are calling it the pandemic, they're calling it COVID, but spiritually speaking, we are in the middle of a shift. So elaborate on that.
Music always shifts.
Yes.
People get tired of the same food over and over again, and the industry has this way of pushing its meal, and it doesn't like to deviate from that formula once it finds something that it think it works. And it'll keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing it until basically we get fed up as fans, and we start digging in the underground for whatever's next to pop up.
Yeah.
Trap is not really going to go anywhere. It's going to deviate into different sounds. But at the end of the day, people are looking for something a little bit more conscious. And also, to really think about it, conscious rap is always there. Something with substance, music of substance is always there. It's just the industry's lack of promotion for it. So if we want it, we can go get it. The internet has given us this, plethora of music that we can go find. It's just whether or not we want to take time and go find it.
Yeah. Because we talked a little bit, about where, when you talked about who you used to dance for. Guy, Teddy Riley, so we know during that era was what, New Jack Swing, I would say Afro beats are still current though, and they're coming back. They haven't really lost their touch. I think they're in everything. Would you agree? In all the music?
Yeah, this drums are a foundation of everything. The funny trick is that most of these styles of music don't really go anywhere. It's just they stop getting pushed from the main media, from the main industry.
Yeah.
You go to Africa, that's what that is. You know what I mean? That's their main drive.
Yes.
Most of their songs are based in that. You go to England, groups like Wu-Tang and Lords of the Underground, they're still popping out there. And they're still moving. It's just what we see is based on what makes things popular versus what's actually liked and popular.
So it definitely, I would say, how would you put this? If I say basically, do you feel that hip hop has definitely, would you say hip hop has changed our culture of music?
Yeah, it has. It's infected everything. It's like what we do is always the basis for what everyone else does. Our culture, our Black culture is always the basis, whether it's our language, whether it's our clothing, whether it's our music, our style is always the basis. What we like, they like. They don't want to be us, but they like what we do.
They like our culture. Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, it's a wonderful thing when you can turn on, say, Blues Clues, when it used to be on, and hear a rap song come on Blues Clues, where that wasn't normal before. Most of our kids' video games are rap based, hip hop based.
Absolutely.
You know, it's all part of the bigger scheme of what we do. We just got to make sure we keep control of it. That's the part we lose.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what kind of impact do you think our music really makes on the society? So if we're talking about, especially like what's going on right now with the politics, you know, with the pandemic, with the ignite of racism, you know.
See, that's a hard question because there's still a machine that runs things at the end of the day. Our culture is the basis of it, but we still don't control a machine that disseminates the basis. So basically what I'm saying in a nutshell is our music is out there, but our message is always going to be diluted to a degree. There's always going to be a little twist of it that makes sure that what they're trying to put out there gets out there versus what we do.
Wow. Well, let's see. The real, was it Wadlu? He said you produced a group called The Force.
Oh yeah, that was before I basically bowed out the last time. I was living in Maryland. There was a group called The Force that I produced. 2 rappers and a singer, female, 2 male rappers. Great situation. Produced the whole album. Had a situation to get on the wire at the time, and it kind of fizzled. Basically, this was one of those things where talent outweighed the business. So, you know, not speaking bad on them, they're good people, and I still love them to death.
Yeah.
But their business ethic wasn't where it should have been.
And there's that business again. Yeah, very important, right? Work ethic, business ethic, all of it.
Yeah, I've been in label situations where there are millions of dollars on the table, and because people don't know how to handle their business, they wind up losing all that money. That money goes away or gets spent on things that it shouldn't have. I've been part of major artist projects where they decided to go to London to record their whole album and then come back with more than 2 songs.
Oh my goodness.
Spent $500,000. And that's just, like I said, bad business, not understanding first that money you got to pay back. It's not given to you.
Right.
And 2, to pay it back, you have to finish the project.
Absolutely. I mean, just planning in general, right? I think, you know, whether it be this business or any business, you know, I come from a business development background myself. And, you know, I was doing optical for almost 13 years. So always been singing, you know, and writing, but I think that has definitely helped me to translate, you know, what I'm doing now and what I'm desiring to do and what my passion is and why I always come paper ready, you know, when it comes to this part of the business. You know what I'm saying? And some people don't like it. I've had one guy was like, wow, you're the only person that comes in here with paper and split sheets. I'm just like, okay. I'll just
and what?
You know, but yeah, I think it's crucial. You've had the opportunity to attend quite a few conferences. You talked about a lot of music conferences.
Yeah. I love meeting the people of Atlanta and meeting the artists and, you know, the different people in the music game, period. The last conference I went to was the A3C. And then right before that, Puffy had the Revolt conference.
Nice.
A lot of dope panels. And there were some panels that were kind of not full, but kind of not paid attention to. One of them was a panel with the Big Crit's manager and Black's manager.
Wow.
And they were asking this question, and I see it all the time when I go to these different functions. You know, who do I got to meet to get on? And Big Crit's manager said, look to your left and look to your right.
Wow.
Those are the people that you need to get on. And I watched half of the people not look around, or look around real quick, but go back to the panel and not really get what the man was saying.
Yeah.
He said the people above you can't really help you. They're not really in a position to help you because they're trying to get up to the next rung. So they can't pull you up and pull themselves up.
Wow.
So the people next to you are the people that's going to help you.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. So a lot of producers, and I talk to a lot of aspiring producers, especially, you know, now doing a lot of these interviews, a lot of them are enjoying making beats. Some people just want to be identified as that. They're like, no, I just make beats. I'm a beat maker. Do you recommend an aspiring beat maker or producer to learn how to mix, master, and engineer?
Actually, no.
Really?
They should understand it, but it's not necessary for them to know. Because it's not possible to be 100 at 10 different things. The whole, you know, jack of trades, master of none. It's that concept. You leave that to somebody who's focused, that is. Now, mind you, we can't always find that, but ultimately, that's the best way to leave it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So if you're traveling, you know, and I'm thinking of, like, say how if I'm singing or thinking of a song or come up with an idea, talk to me like about storage and retrieval. Like if you're out and you're coming from this conference and you're on a plane and you think of a sound, how do you capture that sound or keep track of an idea? Do you use like a voice memo, or what do you use?
The funny thing is I have a great memory.
Oh,
so
wow.
I really don't. I used to do that at one point, but then I just developed myself to a point where I kind of remember what that idea was or why I wanted to do it. 9 times out of 10, that why is so strong that I remember it.
That's incredible. That's incredible, because I have to voice memo a lot of times, or like, you know, like literally I'll lose the sound, especially if I have an idea that I want to give to the producer. Like I want it to sound a certain way. I have to, like, you know, like dun, 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 like have to have to put it on like my phone.
I find I'm doing that more as I get older, but for the most part, those ideas, you know, once I get an idea, it's like glue to me.
Yeah. That's amazing. I love that. Is there any artist that you want to work with that you have not worked with yet? Someone specific?
I'm really feeling the Griselda camp. I would really love to work with just about everybody in that camp.
Wow.
I used to work for a label called Black Hand Entertainment, and they had an artist right after I left. His name was Graf. That's another artist I would love to work with. And there's a couple singers, AJ Simone, which is a friend of mine's, I want to work with. I definitely want to work with Devon Sings again. And everybody else that I'm working with currently, I'm in love with as an artist.
Yeah, gotta be. Absolutely.
Definitely.
So tell me if one of those major artists reached out to you and, you know, they heard something that you've done before or have an idea, or you send something back to them. But what are your thoughts about sending stems out before agreeing to any terms? And I know this goes back to paperwork and things like that, but what are your thoughts about that?
It's kind of that's really hard, because nowadays it's almost standard for a producer to send out stuff before paperwork.
Yeah.
Is right now the industry is pushing this narrative that as a producer you should feed the artist, and if they like what they eat, then you get paid, which really isn't, it doesn't work like that in any other business.
Yeah.
You can't send that to an electric company. Let me try some of this power out, and if I like it, I'll pay you.
Yeah.
The,
No.
the
It doesn't work like that.
stems, I'm definitely not sending out. I'll send out an MP3, but I'm definitely not sending out stems. Doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah. Good for you. I was watching actually an interview myself the other night. I mean, they just kept going back and forth. They were arguing about it because he was just like, well, that was the big topic. He's like, I just feel like you should just take a risk. I mean, we've all taken L's. And I'm like, that's a big L. You know what I'm saying? No one's going to take a loss like that.
That's a
Especially.
consistent.
Say it again.
That's a consistent L.
Yeah.
Because that's going to happen so much. There's so many times that somebody reaches out through my DM or reaches out to a person I know. Yo, I know such and such. They heard this. They want this. And like I said, I'll send out an MP3. Oh yeah, I take that. But sending out the stems, nah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Good for you. So we know in March, of course, this whole switch happened, and another, shocker for all of us, and we're all obviously have been in it together. March 2020, coronavirus. It has isolated many of us. I know a lot of creatives, this is what we do anyway. We're usually at home creating, but it still, of course, felt a little different, felt more controlled. That we were, of course, told to stay in to protect ourselves, to protect our loved ones. What was that like for you when that all transpired in March?
The truth is, it lasted about a week here in Atlanta. And then after that, everything was normal.
Oh my God.
Black folk in Atlanta don't care about nothing. They, it was like, everybody was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go away. Cancel this studio session, cancel this session. And that lasted about a week before everybody was back.
Back
at
it.
Ready? Like, nothing happened.
That's crazy. I want to say we were here at home, like everybody here in Cali, similar, I would say, but at the same token, most of us were afraid. Like we didn't know what it was. People were getting sick. The numbers were, being shown on the news. I mean, I think it got to a point I had to stop watching the news,
Yeah.
Because that was the scariest part. Yeah, like it was discouraging, and it was just too many people dying. And I think that was just where it just got more depressing, if you will. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've not, without getting too deep, I've had a couple of losses from the virus. So it's real to me. It's just, I'm one of these people where those things don't affect me that way because I expect it. I understand it. Death is part of life.
Yeah.
And to be constantly in fear of it, it's kind of draining.
Yeah, absolutely. We should be living and speaking life over ourselves daily, right?
Exactly. Well, what else do we have to do?
Amen. So talk to me about that. Talk to me about your inner peace and your spirituality.
The basis is understanding who I am and what makes me happy. Keeping it simple without pushing minds on everybody else's and keeping everybody else's off the minds.
I know that's right.
And it's not really that deep. It's like simply we wake up in the morning, we have things we have to do, we have things we want to do. Deal with the things we have to do to get to the things we want to do, and we enjoy the things we want to do. That's how I live.
I love that. Yeah. So what would you say has been the most rewarding thing that has come from sharing your sound, from producing and being in this industry?
I don't know if I would call it rewarding. I haven't gotten that yet.
Not yet?
I'm still looking for that.
Wow.
It's like you're looking for the next level of things and grabbing for the next gear and like, what's that going to be? I'm happy with the reception that both me and Clizzy's music and everybody else that I've worked with, we've gotten. But now what's next? What's the next level? The perfect example is this, right? I could sit here and I could give you a list and go on for maybe 20 minutes, half hour of all the people I've worked with in my life. But it doesn't matter because that was yesterday. What did I do today? What's happening for right now? What are we building now? Too many people rest on that. And that's just not me.
Wow.
And the funny thing is, in this generation, 90% of the people I mentioned, this generation will have no idea who I'm talking about anyway.
Right. It's crazy. I think a lot of them think 30 is old, you know. So
Exactly. Exactly.
It's like, it's crazy. So if you had the ability to change one thing about the music industry, and I know there's many things, but if you could change one thing, what would it be?
The labels. Remove the labels. At the end of the day, they make the system stagnant.
Yeah.
They don't allow for the growth. They're always, it's like a DJ playing one record over and over again. Kind of, if you look at the way radio is, you'll see the same 10 songs played all day and all week. That's the industry doing that.
Yeah. It's crazy.
That takes fun. It's hard to say, this new artist over here who has no shine is dope. He should be able to have the same opportunity as all the rest of these artists, 10 artists that are being played. And that's a shame.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of like new artists or any artists, pre-COVID, I would say, if you've gone to like, say, a concert or a live event and you're listening, especially from your level of expertise, you're watching this concert, you're watching this new performer, what do you look for? What are you listening for?
I'm watching before they say anything. A true artist walks on the stage and people pay attention. They see it.
Yes.
It's nothing in their voice. There's nothing in their music. Their presence commands you and says, watch me. The funny thing is, last concert I went to was Big Daddy Kane and Rakim. And Big Daddy Kane had absolutely nobody on the stage with him.
Wow, just him.
But just him. Him and the DJ. And the DJ was in the back, didn't even have a light on him.
Wow.
And absolutely murdered it. Everybody was engaged. And the opposite is Rakim. Everybody was on the stage with him. Rakim does not have a stage presence. But what was so dope was, and the difference is, he brought up Smooth B from Nice and Smooth. And he wound up doing his verse from the Gang Starr song, The Wick. And his energy changed the whole stage dynamic. People who did not know who Gang Starr was focused on him. And that's the type of thing I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah. That's amazing. That's incredible. So I know you're a family man, and how do you juggle all of your responsibilities with music life, and your family?
Sometimes it's sacrifice. Sometimes my own personal time gets sacrificed. Like, I don't have that me time, that personal, just like, everybody go away. Let me do me for a second. Everybody needs something. So between the music and my children and my wife, it's kind of like one of those, all right. Every once in a while, though, I got to lock the door, turn off all lights, and just be by myself.
Yeah, crucial, right?
But I do that at this point because there's a goal in mind. We're pushing for a goal. So I'll give up that personal time to get to that point. Otherwise, what are we doing this for? Yeah,
absolutely. So what I like is, of course, now not being with a larger label, which is what you just talked about a few minutes ago, creative control and the importance of it. Talk a little bit about that. because I think, there are some people online, and I had a gentleman the other day, and I thought he was incredible, honestly. But the first question he asked me was, are we going to talk about, getting signed? Like, or is there anybody that that can sign me? And I'm just like, like, well, who do you think I am? And no, we're not going to talk about that. You know what I'm saying? So I think sometimes people get that misconstrued as far as just this whole, sign me ordeal. So talk to me about creative control.
To talk about that, you got to talk about the concept of getting signed, which doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
And that's what I think a lot of people understand. You're at a point in this industry where you are the label. You have to be.
Yeah.
Because labels now aren't what they used to be. They used to be artist development, promotion, production, everything. Now they're literally just banks. All they do is fund you. They give you the money to do what you are already doing. So you have to be able to build your fan base and build your wave yourself without them before they'll even look at
you. I'm just wondering too, like, the big ordeal too that I'm noticing is a lot of people not understanding how important a brand is and understanding that you are an actual product. So I'd like you to kind of go into that too, like, not putting your product, not putting your brand in jeopardy ever, but just understanding how to protect your brand.
I guess I have the cranky old man syndrome, so I complain about a lot of stuff.
Right.
The biggest thing I complain about is certain words. Like, to me, brand is a keyword.
Yes.
They understand what that actually means versus what they hear. So they hear such and such big artists say it, and then all of a sudden they say it. Oh yeah, my brand is this, my brand is that. But they don't even understand what that actually means or what it entails. So the brand is just like Coke or Pepsi. There's no difference. Only know Coke or Pepsi because they told you.
Yeah.
They and over and over and over again. They put themselves in places where you could see them. They put their logo where you could see it. That's all they did. And that's all that we have to do. Our job is to make a product and get people to try and enjoy it.
Yes. 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 Who would you say inspired you from the very beginning? I mean, I know we could circle back to 17 starting as a producer, but who in your family or in your life as a younger boy, who inspired you to make music?
My mentor, Bert Price, he kind of taught me everything I knew in the beginning. He worked at the studio I worked at. I definitely got to give a shout out to Denroy Morgan. He definitely, from a business pushing effort, he inspired me the way he would push things.
Wow.
He was relentless with it, the way he built. And he built a whole empire with his children behind just him in one hit song. The whole empire, multiple houses. Now his children are Grammy Award winning artists.
Amazing.
Yeah, exactly. That was the type of some things that really impressed me. And then I had the opportunity to work with a lot of big people. Sit with Harry Belafonte, Nile Rodgers, let's see, Bernard Wright had the song "Who Do You Love?"
Yes.
Johnny Kemp, incredible. I mean, the biggest smile and the nicest person you ever want to meet. And they all kind of took me under their wings because, they were all older than me and I was a kid to them. But I had so much talent that they respected my talent and they would always bring me into the room.
Wow.
But there's so many others that I could name that truthfully I just forget, And I've had the opportunity to sit and really talk with these people, not just on some random, hey, how you doing? What do you need type things, really deep, in-depth conversations. I had some weird conversations with some crazy artists. I had a weird math conversation with LL Cool J. Wow. It lasted like 5 minutes. He really loves math. He's like a mathematician almost.
Amazing.
And, things you would never know. But these are all the little things that kind of inspired me to the point where I am, and kind of I took a piece of everybody and kind of added it into myself.
Wow, that's incredible, Cheebs. I love that. What was the very first album that you ever owned, that you actually bought on your own, even if you were a little boy? What was it?
Okay, now I'm gonna tell you a secret.
Uh-oh, I like secrets.
For the most part, this is why I tell artists that they should never be in charge of their own music.
Mm.
Most artists, producers alike, don't buy music.
True.
Once you get into the industry and you're in the industry, you get that so much for free.
Yeah, I know.
So it becomes a situation of, oh yeah, I like that album. Oh yeah, such and such got it. Get me a copy.
Right.
But I will tell you that I did buy a Prince album, Dirty Mind.
Wow.
If I can remember that, I think that might have been my first album.
Incredible. Mine was Tina Turner. I don't even think I bought it. I think I actually, no, yeah, my mom, bought it, because that was like one of the first songs she used to play. Tina Turner, Frankie Beverly and Maze. But yeah, Tina Turner was mine.
Yeah, see, I didn't have a lot of music in my house.
Really?
A lot of my music came from me being out in the world. My family wasn't really, musical in the background. Now, don't mind, we do have people in our background that have done music, like Holland Doja. Doja is one of my distant cousins.
Wow.
One of the Pips is one of our cousins. And it might, Irv Gotti is my cousin.
Wow.
So, I do have people in my family musical, but none that I connected with.
Wow. Wow. That's crazy. So if you weren't doing music, Sonny, what would you be doing?
I'd probably be a psychologist.
Really?
Yes.
I could see that, especially, how you're sitting in this chair right now. I could totally see that. I'd be one of your patients.
Trust me, everybody talks and tells me all their problems, and I got good insight because I know how to detach my feelings from my thought process.
Yes, you have to. Yes. Do you find that a lot? People just tell you things, like they just trust you and just tell you so much of their business.
Planes are the worst. Oh man, I'll be sitting next to somebody and I'll say hi, and that's it.
Yeah.
They'll start talking to me, and next thing I know all their kids. I know they've been cheating or been cheated on. I'm like, man, I got some stories of sitting in the airports. When I was heavy into music, we were traveling all the time. I've been to every major city there is in America, and a couple countries. And some of the things you hear, and some of the artists that I've talked to, I never will tell you what was said, but they've told me some things. I'm like, hey, tell me that.
Too much information.
Exactly. No.
And then at the end of the conversation, they're like, I just feel so comfortable talking to you.
Yeah, exactly that. It's like,
I think that's so funny. So what would you have told yourself if you could tell yourself, your younger self, one thing about this amazing journey, this because that's what it is. It's still happening, what would you have told yourself, as a teenager?
Be more consistent. The reason why I never got bigger than I did was simply because I wasn't really a boss. I was a follower. My thing was I just wanted to do music. I didn't want to do business. I always had a manager. Look, I don't care. This my check. I'll be in the studio. That's it.
Yeah.
And what they would do was, such and such label needs a producer. You should go there. And I go there. And then that slows down. Then it's like, oh, such and such over here, he needs a producer, go over there. And then now you're down with that team. The consistency starts from one team and building to a point that makes sense.
Yeah.
To where you're progressing and then you're leveling and you're creating a sound. And I never was stable enough to do that.
Yeah.
And that's where the consistency would have came in.
It's incredible. Well, you know, I don't want to keep you all day because, of course, we could talk about this all day. This business is amazing, amazing talent and gift that you have. This this true talent that you've been able to share with all of us, beyond obviously this interview. I mean, just in general, what you're doing daily, what you have done, you know, and who you're working with. And I, again, in closing, want to say thank you for taking the time today. And I want to thank Clizzy Houston again for linking this. I want to thank DJ High Volume for his amazing interview, which, you know, linked me with Clizzy, and just the whole alignment that has taken place. But I mean, just knowing that, you know, you were just available for me this afternoon. You were available the other day too, so I appreciate that.
Sure.
What would you, in this last question I want to leave with, to give to the generation behind you, because you spoke about them earlier, the generation coming up behind you, what would you advise them? You said consistency, which is very important, but what would you advise any songwriter, any producer, you know, that wants to follow in your footsteps?
You got to develop trust. You can't work with people you don't trust. And this business requires you to trust somebody's ear, trust somebody's voice, trust somebody's business ethic. And without that, you're constantly questioning and you never make any progress, because it's always, well, why are you doing that? Or why are you doing that? The biggest
I just saw that.
Yeah, that's my man, Jay Swile. Got shot on.
Advise him to smoke a lot of weed.
But it becomes a situation of, I got to be able to leave a room and trust that whoever I hired to do a job is going to do the job the way I hired them to do. And without me having to be there, without me having to say, why would you do that? Why would you say that?
Yeah.
I got to be able to 100% trust them. And trust is a hard commodity to come by in this day and age. But it's the only thing that makes this game work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I love artists to death, but they have no clue on the way this game actually works.
Yeah.
No clue whatsoever.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I thank you so much. You are an incredible musician, producer, engineer, CEO, king. I am like in awe of just being in your presence right now. And again, for everyone on the line, your whole team, Highlighter, I see you. Black Bees, I see all of you, your entire team. Most of them, I'm assuming, because this is just this is a handful of you, right?
Yeah, out there in Vegas.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for some songs though. What them songs out there?
Well, it's been real, and I thank you guys so much for tuning in to The Face Behind the Brand. Tune in tomorrow. We have another artist coming on. You guys probably are not familiar with her, but she will be incredible. Her name is Ayila. And then, of course, in a few days, we will have, of course, Brandon Hicks. So stay tuned, and please be safe out there, and I will talk to you soon, Mr. Cheebs.
Definitely.
Okay.
We got to link up behind this.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, guys. Peace.
Peace.